When it comes to viewing a property to buy, people always look for aspects such as size, location and price. But even if we find that perfect combination of elements, there's still one problem that often puts more people off than any other. Damp. It has to be one of the most feared and least understood of all property problems.
Lots of people can be really put off a property with damp problems. There is a stigma attached and they can be scared of the health issues and the cost of the major building work. It's a shame because usually fixing the problem isn't as bad as they initially believe. The key is to get professional advice that can give you the correct diagnosis to help you make the right decision.
PeterCox are one of the country's largest and most trusted damp control specialists. They've been in business for 64 years, and what they don't know about lateral rainwater penetration or thixotropic silane injection systems just isn't worth knowing.
The important thing to remember is that damp is a symptom. What we have to find is what's the underlying problem that's causing the damp issue so that we can recommend the correct solution to the problem.
The most common form of damp is simply condensation. Modern draft proofing and lack of adequate ventilation from cooking, washing and bathing can lead to excess humidity and moisture. This can cause paint and wallpaper to peel and create a build-up of black mould, which can look unsightly.
Well, the solution's quite simple. What we need to do is rebalance the humidity within the building. We have units which are situated in the roof, and they're called whole house ventilation units, and they gently modify the humidity levels by forcing out the moisture-laden air through gaps in the building structure. We can also install a thermosafe heat recovery fan which retains up to 75% of that valuable heat that would normally be lost.
Second to condensation is rising damp. It's the classic form of damp that most people associate with bubbling paint and plaster above the skirting boards. It's caused by damp soaking up from the ground into any solid wall. Groundwater contains chlorides and nitrates which break down internal plaster and spoil decorations. It can also cause significant heat loss from the property because wet walls are poor at keeping the heat in, and this also supports the growth of moulds, which can be bad for your health.
There are several ways that rising damp can be cured, and the most common and most effective system is using a method where we insert a cream into the wall called drywall injection cream. This is a silane which sits in the wall and lines the pores of the masonry and the mortar joint and prevents rising damp. Secondary to that, we have to then consider the condition of the wall plaster internally, and we remove the plaster where it's salt affected and replace it with a special salt retardant render called drywall coating, and that's the complete system which will cure rising damp.
To determine the cost of repairs, the type of damp problem and its scale are the largest factors to take into consideration. The installation of a heat recovery system for condensation and mould can usually cost between £350 to £400. When it comes to fixing rising damp, a good way of gauging the price is to work around £60 per linear metre. So an average living room of 4.5 square metres would cost around £270 per wall.
As an estate agent, if you see a property that you do like that does have damp issues, don't panic. There's always a workable solution and we can help you get the right advice to make the right decision.